Okay, we are working on the inside, the lining of a Sunshine Wristlet by Bagstock, and I am putting in a 7-inch zipper. These templates you can find, I'll be adding them to my Etsy store. They're free. Basically how this works is it's a construction, I printed it out on cardstock. This little line and this little line show the center. So whenever you're making a bag, typically you're going to center your zipper. In this particular bag, I use a 7-inch zipper. You can use a 6. I use a 7, to each his own. I already prepped my pocket. This is my pocket. So basically you sew your zipper, and I use double-sided tape because I told you guys I love it. And it keeps it nice and straight. You can see it's really nicely done. There's no wrinkles. You just stitch it to the edge, really close to the edge. It's less than 1/8 of an inch to the edge, because when you put it in, these stitches aren't going to be seen. So there's my pocket, that's ready. So the reason I have this template is because I like to have the facing for my pocket. I match it to my lining. I cut it out at its interface. So when I cut out my lining, I have extra fabric so I can cut this out. So what I'll do then, after I cut out my lining piece and I have this left over, I'll lay this on top of the wrong side, because what you want for your interfacing, your lining piece, your template piece, you want this to match this. You want right sides together. So now I leave the cardboard on, and that is my guide to sew. So now I have my really narrow foot on, and I start in the corner. I reduce this to 3, and typically at 3, because this I'll end up right at the end. So let's just see. Here we go. And when I get to the end, I will hand crank it because I don't want to sew onto the paper. This should take 3 stitches, and it'll get me to the corner. And it did. Oh, if I could zoom in, I would. All right, so now we're gonna straight stitch this way. Again, following that line. If you catch the paper, it's okay. You're just kind of causing a perforation, and you'll just be able to tear it off. Not a big deal. One more stitch. Now if I come a little further, I lift it because this foot has a knee lift. So it's not, this is back here to lift this. For permanence, I don't use it, I use my knee lift. So if I permanently want to lift the foot when I'm putting on making a bobbin, that's what I do. Because you want to keep that up when you're doing a bobbin. So now I'm going to stitch it one more, there we go. And now I'm going to cover my stitches again, not all the way, just a little bit. All right. So now that's good, and we're gonna trim it. I'm gonna pop this off. Just temporary basting spray is what I use. There's that, all done. I'm gonna hang it back up. On my Etsy store, you'll find 6, 7, and 8. If you're in need of a 9, let me know, I'll make one. So this is my little Olfa mat that I got at Joann Fabrics. It was 50% off because it's a set. It's this, and then there's a little tiny one right there. It's $45, 50% off of that. I don't think you can go wrong. And then I just use double-sided tape to stick it to the platform, the bed on my machine, my table here. Now I use a Scotch box cutter, or a straight edge, whatever you want to call it, to cut into my corners, and that's what gives me the nice corners when I flip it. Do not cut the thread. And if you do cut the thread, don't worry. Don't panic. Go back to your machine and restitch it. No big deal. So for this, I'm going to use, this is by Clover. And instead of going over to the iron, which I really just don't feel like doing, this flattens out these seams. All right, now I'm gonna take my double-sided tape because I've told you guys I love this. I get it from Tandy Leather. It is the non-repositionable. I do it right to the edge on the long edge. Don't go past the side stitch. I'm going to peel this, well, I'm going to flip this through, then I'm going to peel it off. And I have a fun little hook up here, keep stuff out of the way, because it will get in the way. Now I'm gonna peel this off. I have a fun little basket attached to my machine here that I got at, oh, I wanna say it was either Fat Quarter Shop, it came in my subscription, or I got it at Bluprint, and it came in my winter subscription box. I can't remember. I like my little subscriptions. They're pretty great. Now see, you can see that this one's a little wonky. See, it's a little wrinkled. So what I'm gonna do is take my little snips here. I'm just gonna check it. And it looks like it could be snipped a little more, so I will. Not every one turns out perfect. And that's okay. And there we go. All right, so that's flat. And this, the double-sided tape also helps if you do have some issues getting it nice and straight and flat. It holds it down. So maybe you're afraid to make that cut into the corner. Your double-sided tape will help you. So if you don't want to go all the way to the corner, maybe you want to stretch it a little bit. You can stretch it. You can cut it not too close, and then use the double-sided tape to keep it held down. All right, so that's all done. And now I'm going to use my, this is 3/16 inch, 3/16 inch double-sided tape. The reason I buy 3/16 is because I sew at 1/4 of an inch most of the time. And the 3/16 is less than 1/4 of an inch, so you don't see it. And I'm gonna peel that off. I'm gonna peel this off. And here's the pocket. Okay, now, zip on the left. Zip always on the left. And then you want your pocket facing up, zip on the left. Now yeah, I'm gonna sew over the nylon zip, no big deal. I don't wanna sew over the metal, so I'm gonna use this as this end point. And on the zipper tape, you can kind of see it's where there's lines. Just take one and look at it. I use YKK. I don't like Coats & Clark. I don't like the way it opens and closes. It's rough and I can hear it, and it doesn't feel smooth at all. So I use YKK, and I get my zippers from Zippered on Etsy. And for me, she ships fast, but she ships fast for anybody, but it's pretty quick because she's in Wisconsin and I'm in Illinois. So, but otherwise, I know it's like a 1 or 2 to 3 day ship. So she's terrific. So now I'm gonna stitch this using the edge of my narrow foot, which is 1/8 of an inch, all the way around, and you start at the top, on the far right side, start at the top, stitch down. And I'm gonna lengthen my stitch to about a 3.5. Sewing over the zippers, as long as it's not metal, don't worry about it. If it is, you just have to hand crank it so you can wiggle it between the teeth. That's the trick, is to wiggle it between the teeth. Now I'm gonna go up, and I'm gonna stop, and I'm not gonna go to the left. That's it, I'm done. Pull it off, trim it, and you know, sometimes that happens. And when this happens, what I'll do, I pivoted too soon. I just catch it in a spot where it's not gonna be too noticeable. Again, not the end of the world. There's a lot worse things that I can have happen. There we go. All right, now I'm gonna go back up. And no one is the wiser. Just me. All right. So now what you want to do is pull this pocket down. And that's it. So I just pulled that side down. I'm going to pull, don't worry about the stitches, you don't have to pull the thread out. I'm going to pull this side down. Same thing over here. Pull it down. It's okay if you hear it pop. No worries. So now it's flat, right? Okay. So now all you did was sew up the sides, sew the top, and sew the side again. You have not sewn the bottom, because if you sew in the bottom, you're never going to get into the pocket. So now it's still open. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to start right on the corner where the zipper pull is at. I get it right into that hole. Line up the hole. And I do like to backstitch. Some don't, and I do. All right, and I'll trim it now. All right. Now I'm gonna stitch straight across the top. You can use a zipper foot for this if you have one. You don't have to. And now I'm gonna stitch down the side and stop when I get to the bottom. I backstitched a little bit because it's personal. All right, there's that. You've made a pocket, all done. So what you're gonna do now, you're gonna flip the right side and stitch down. Done. Gonna go over here, I'm gonna flip this up. And I think we lost the thread, we did. And that's what happens in that. I think I was telling you guys about that in my other video. It's my giant pet peeve. Ooh, I'm almost out of thread. Oh, let's see if we can get to the end of this. If you guys could see what was on there, you'd be biting your nails. Now, I'm getting older, so thread in the eye gets hard. And this is thicker thread. I use Mara 70, it's Gutermann. Mara Tech 70. That's it, done. Haha, and I didn't use all the thread. So now what I'm gonna do, I'll take my scissors, or my roller, my rotary cutter. I'm gonna trim this edge. Done. Done. And I will give it a pressing, but it's ready, it's good to go. Excellent, hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, follow me, you're gonna love it. We're gonna do lots more videos. Have a great day.